Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for the West Ada School District. It is Monday, September 8th, 2025 at 6:05 p.m. We are very fortunate tonight to have McMillan Elementary School here to lead us in the pledge. Will everyone please stand?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
Madam Chair, there are none.
Thank you. With that, we'll turn the time over to Dr. Bubb for his superintendent update.
Madam Chair, trustees, I just would like to start the evening by thanking, we started our Superintendent's Advisory Council. That's a student council group that meets. We met for the first time last week. It is an energetic group that is really designed to not only, I would say, two platforms. One would be to give voice, student voice within the school district. They'll be able to review the different things going on, but really open communication with myself and with our staff. And so that's exciting. We're going to continue that. But also there's a great opportunity to go through a leadership book. We're going to start reading Leader in Me and just going through some of Covey's work. And so that was an exciting night. That's a lot of time, effort, energy from our kids that are coming in late in the afternoon. So we're very thankful for that. I would like to bring up Sarah DeGrazia to talk a little bit about McMillan. No, I'm going to bring up Rhonda McDonough, our Chief Academic Officer of Teaching and Learning, to talk a little bit about McMillan.
Sorry, I didn't want to set Sarah off on the wrong path there. Yeah, good evening, Chair Frazier, trustees, Dr. Bubb. We are excited tonight because we're doing something a little bit different. We're calling it the Classroom to the Boardroom. It's our first go at this, so we're pretty excited about it. Our purpose is really to, Ken, are you with me?
Oh, you want to go to the next?
Yep, there you go. The next one. Thank you, friend.
Ms. McDonough, you can use the clicker if you'd like.
Okay, I'd love that. I like to drive. So our purpose today is really why we exist. We exist, all of us. We are all in these positions for one reason, and that is kids and high levels of learning and what happens in our classrooms every day. And so tonight is really just about that. It's bringing that intentional focus and celebrating learning, celebrating our teachers, and really what we do. We, our foundational commitments, just as a quick overview, are the 5 things that's really our practices that we say. If we do these things in every classroom across all of our schools, research tells us they will have the greatest impact on learning. They're non-negotiable, they're systematic, they're instructional practices, but they're all systems that we guarantee. We take those and we build from that our best first instruction goals, because really all of those things exist for one reason. All roads lead to best first instruction. This year, our focus in best first instruction across all schools in West Ada, it is one area of focus, and that is clarity and discourse. And that is directly out of our foundational commitments. And basically what that means is that are kids clear? Do they know what they're learning, why it matters, and how to be successful? And then the discourse part is, can our kids express their thinking and extend their thinking with complexity? So when we do that, when you say that, it basically is, are kids with us? And can they talk about their learning? And do they talk about their learning? Because we know the effect size of both of those things. If you do them well, it accelerates growth and doubles the rate of learning. So our why is simply that the more kids are clear and talk about their learning, our students with structure, purpose, and academic language, the ownership and understanding and rigor increase. And that's why McMillan is here tonight. So now it is time to welcome her, because she is here to share with you how her school is chasing out after that. And she's going to do it in a pretty impressive way with some second graders. So.
Thank you, Rhonda. Good evening, Chair Frazier, trustees, and Dr. Bubb. We are both excited and honored to be here today to share our learning with you. As some of you may know, Macmillan has focused on clarity for quite some time, over 7 years. About 2 years ago, we began focusing on student discourse strategy. This current year, we are looking to refine those strategies while we are keeping our clarity work intact. The discourse strategies we focus on, the discourse strategies we use either focus on clarity or they are content specific. When we focus on content, student discussion reflects students' learning of our core standards. We use discourse strategies to deepen our instructional practice as student discussion yields an effect size of 0.82, according to John Hattie, which is 2 years growth in 1 year's time. The strategy that you will see this evening is intended to take student learning from surface to deep learning while keeping our students' academic or increasing our students' academic language. This vocabulary and the strategies that we're using today, they're kind of new to our second graders, so we're going to be using some sentence stems to support this discussion. So I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Humphreys.
The discourse strategy that you will see today is called Turn and Talk with Conjunctions. It encourages students to engage in 3 progressive conversations, building complex sentences, and it begins with students, It begins with students constructing a sentence relating 2 ideas. This is followed by adding academic language. The final step involves sharing insights about the ideas using the conjunctions because, but, or so. This step requires deeper reasoning of ideas. Our students have been studying the meaning of the Pledge of Allegiance. You will see and hear them move through their conversations from simpler to more complex sentences with academic language. We are asking for 2 board members to join us with our students.
So we invite the 2 board members to come down and sit with our students.
We selected Trustee Redford and Trustee Ozuna for this exercise.
I didn't know who you selected.
Sorry about that. I thought you knew. It's a night of surprises.
Okay, so as you can see, we do have our learning intention on the slide, which is that we are learning about the meaning of the Pledge of Allegiance. And like we shared, we have started diving into these different important words in the pledge and what they mean and why they're a part of it. So step 1 is to take 2 of those words and connect them in a full sentence. So our second graders, your prompt is to take the word pledge, which we know means promise, and the word justice, which we learned means fairness, and how would you connect those 2 ideas? Go ahead and share with your partner.
The pledge represents a promise. Can I get a little lower? Yeah. The pledge represents promise and justice represents fairness. The pledge represents justice to our school and country. Your turn. Your turn.
Oh, no. Can I pick someone else? Oh, we say the same thing.
You can say something similar, or you can just, how would you connect the pledge of justice?
I'll go first. I like what you said. The pledge represents a promise and justice represents fairness.
I don't know if I can add any more to that. I hate being put on the spot, just so you guys know. Okay, pledge, promise or commitment. So I commit to, let's see, justice, fairness, what's another word? Shoot. I don't know, I'm drawing a total blank.
Okay.
That's okay.
Okay,
What?
thank you. And so
Doing
then the
those
next
right.
step
Thank
would be
you.
to add another content-specific vocabulary word. And so for this, we are adding the word loyalty. So we would ask them to think about the sentence that they just shared and then how they would connect that third word, loyalty, which we get from the word allegiance in the flag. And we do have a sentence frame right there. Go ahead.
The pledge represents justice and loyalty to our country and school. The pledge represents justice and loyalty to our country. Your turn.
Oh, it's my turn.
You guys can use the sentence, Jim, or you can choose your own.
The pledge represents commitment and justice represents, what did I decide on? Doing what's right. Thank you.
That's a lot harder than it looks. I just want everyone to know.
Now, to be fair, we're doing it in front of a crowd of people. There's a little more pressure here.
Excuse me. And then the step 3 would be bringing in the conjunction. So they're taking those ideas, which can sometimes be surface level, and then by using the conjunctions and expanding, they have the chance to take their knowledge into deeper. So they would take those ideas that they've already shared. We're not bringing in any new vocabulary. It would be the same ones, and then asking them to add a conjunction like because, but, or so. Go ahead. And we do have a sentence frame.
I say loyalty because it represents honest.
We can use the sentence stem, the number 3, right?
I say the pledge because it shows fairness and loyalty, justice, and to our school.
Okay.
Your turn.
Trustee Ozuna can go first this time. And maybe I'll get out of it this time.
I say the pledge because it represents loyalty to my country.
Okay. I say the pledge because it represents commitment and, commitment and it's like an oath. So, being true to the oath that I made to my country.
Okay, and then step 4 we are not going to do in the meeting today, but it would be then constructing a written sentence. It could be something they've already shared, or they could refine it even more as they're making those connections and getting deeper into the knowledge. Thank
you.
Great job, you guys. Trustee Redford, would you mind grabbing those 2 gift bags there for our guests tonight? Thank you so much. Just for the record, I did not pick you to be the surprise. Somebody else was responsible for that. Again, you can see today by this, I mean, This is what happens in our classrooms, right? And if we want our kids to speak in complex ways, we need to give them academic vocab. If we want our trustees to speak in complex ways also, we have to give academic vocabulary, and then the because, but, and so. The best part of this is this morning I had a conversation with Brian Murphy, the principal at Meridian High, and we talked about using this exact strategy because you can see as it transfers from second grade, we have kindergartners in some of our schools using this right now, but that is the intentionality of a teacher recognizing what our goal is, and even when it's hard, and even when it doesn't work perfectly, and even when there's challenges, our kids, we're always proud of our kids and our teachers for the hard work we do. So thank you so much for indulging us tonight.
Madam Chair, trustees, I'd just like to say thank you to the parents for being here. You guys are a big part of the student success. Thank you to our teachers who are here, and thank you for our school leaders that are here. We really appreciate it.
Could we have everybody come up before you go and get a picture?
Have them stand in front of you. Our second graders learn much better.
Madam Chair, trustees, now I would like to bring up Meridian High School, Mr. Bloxham. And before you get started, I'll just recognize Mr. Murphy is also here. Sorry, I didn't mean to leave you out of that. You were in the way of the podium, or maybe the podium was in the way of you. But Mr. Murphy, our principal over at Meridian High School, is also here.
Perfect. Okay, there we go. Hello, thank you guys so much for having us today. Before I get started, I would like to say that at the SSAC meeting, there was art hung up, and I had a question about it, and I don't know how we got from point A to point B, but it led to me telling Bub that I'd bring him art, and I brought you art, Bub. I did. Yes, and I used real bubbles to make the background, so... yeah, and I drew 3 jellyfish. So
I almost asked about it earlier, and I was like, I'm not going to put her on the spot. So thank you very
Don't worry,
much.
I
It will be
wouldn't
hung up,
forget.
I promise.
Okay, I didn't forget. All right. So at Meridian, we have a new goal of the year. So a standard that we've held our students to is Warrior Strong, which stands for our spirit, tradition, responsibility, ownership, integrity, and grit. And that was already a high standard, but then we wanted to add in Warrior Kind onto that, so that way we can promote kindness throughout our community. And I think Bloxham has more to say on that one.
So what we've found is that we focus on Warrior Strong a lot, which grit and grind and get everything that way. But there's another part to being human, and there's a kindness aspect of respecting people and to do things. And we're using the word respect a lot, throwing it around as a kind of a tagline. But we thought with how much we focus on Meridian Strong, we were gonna start an initiative where we take Meridian Kind and Meridian Strong and we make a complete student. So that's kind of our goal for the year, is be kind to one another. Oftentimes when you say strong, it becomes like you're too, bullish, or you don't have emotions, or when you're too emotional that you're not strong enough. But by combining the both, we think that's a perfect union. And I like to call it TIB, what it creates. It creates trust, inspiration, and then balance. So our kids will leave with that the ability to kind of morph into whatever situation they need to. Do they need to grind and be able to handle situations, or do they need to be able to be empathetic and look at things from perspective versus perception? And so that's kind of one of the goals that Mr. Murphy has going on at our school this year, and the students have really bought into that. So.
Yeah, and then that has been very helpful with, Bronco Bold, Meridian Bold, Sources of Strength, Student Council, all those different programs within our school. So, yeah, and then we would like to point out some of our shining staff, a little staff spotlight. So one of our counselors, Carissa Barnes, she was named Idaho Counselor of the Year this year, which is super exciting, and she's my counselor, so I can attest it's well deserved. She's amazing, she's great, and I'm very proud to say that she's my counselor. So.
I'm here again. You get the B team. Yeah. But the idea is that Carrie, she changes lives at our school. From a personal standpoint, an amazing person, an amazing influence on my son, but also from just everything she does with our staff. It's well deserved. She's so well respected that the kids and Mr. Murphy and everyone have decided to have she doesn't know about it yet, but Carrie Barnes Day on Friday. So we're gonna surprise her with flowers and lunch and red carpet and band and cheer coming out and doing the thing. And the whole idea is she would not want any of the recognition, but she will love it, that kind of thing. So we're hoping that goes well on Friday. Thanks.
Yeah, so just the recognition that she deserves, and she's very loved over there, so we want to make sure she knows it. And then we have a few others. One of our social studies teacher, Joseph Hardy, he won an Extra Yard for Teachers Award from Boise State Athletics, and he was granted $1,000 for his classroom. So another great teacher. We have Brad Murray, our wrestling coach and one of our gym teachers. He was recognized by Idaho Sports in a recent article for his efforts and continued dominance on the mat with the wrestlers over at Meridian with his leadership, which I can attest he's just a great guy. So. And then we have Annie McKinney, our theater teacher, and she was honored at the 2025 Patty Dukes with the Velma V. Morrison Award for just being an outstanding performing arts educator, which I had her my freshman year, and I can attest if I had the room in my schedule, I would be right back in that classroom. So, yeah, she's great as well. All right, and then just a few other things to point out. We had some donations this year. We got $1,000 from the Idaho Lottery earlier this summer, and then our state senators came and visited us in our student council classroom to say thank you for our help with the phone policy, which is going great still. Yeah, and I believe they granted us $1,000, I think. Yeah, which we really appreciated that, and that was really cool to, get to see them and meet them and just have that experience, and we really appreciate the donations. Yeah, and then both in our student council classroom and NHS and all those programs, volunteering is another big thing that we hold ourselves to. We love to be involved with our community, show up, show out, make them know that we're there for them, we want to be there, we want to help out. And so just a few volunteering experiences that we've had is over the summer, we participated in Meridian Dairy Days where we worked at an info booth, which was super nice, super fun, chill. It was a little cold this year, but we made the most of it and we showed up, showed out. We were there the 3 days it ran, the entire time it was open, and just helped people get around. Then we've been really wanting to help welcome our freshmen and get them excited for high school. So one way that we did that is just taking a little bit of the, pressure off of their first days and make it a little bit easier by giving them tours around the school or even just helping them get to their first period classroom, which is always one of the hardest parts on your first few days. So, just waiting to the counselors, saying, hey, if you need a way to get around, just come to the counselors, we'll be there for you, and just helping them get around, which was super nice. And it was nice to get to know them and say, hey, I'm here for you. If you need somebody to look up to, I'm here. You can always come and talk to me if you have any issues. Oh yes, we also did a really fun assembly for them. Traditionally, our assemblies can be, more so like just speaking at you, but this year we wanted to make it a lot more interactive. So Murphy invited a guest speaker. He was super cool. He was super entertaining, engaging. I was lucky enough to get to sit in and watch it. And honestly, I think I learned a lot. And I think he's somebody that everybody should get to see once in their life. He really pointed out some good things. And I think he got the freshmen started on the right track with that. And even the freshmen, they were all engaged, like normally when you watch things like that, you can see people falling asleep in the crowd, but everybody was sitting there, they were engaged, they were paying attention, they wanted to be there. And I think that was really exciting and helped them get started on that right track. And then next weekend, my student council class, we're going to be volunteering at Potato Days, which is super exciting. And we're just helping with some yard games, helping keep it free and fun for the families. Yeah, so those are just some volunteering highlights. And then within the school, we have a few upcoming events that I'd like to touch on for a second. So obviously we have our homecoming, which a lot of the dance is set up by cheer, but in student council, we've been working on things like the assembly, powder puff, burning of the M, our tailgate and spirit week. So, just fun things, get the student body involved, get them excited for the week. Yeah, and on our tailgate, traditionally at Meridian, we have the parade, which we decided that it was more risk and less reward than what we were hoping for. So we decided to cut that from our agenda this week, or this homecoming week, which was a little upsetting for, our athletics and our clubs that get really excited about being able to participate in that. So a way around that we found was that instead of having them be in the parade, for our tailgate, we would just invite them, be like, hey, do you want to bring a booth or a yard game or just anything that could add to the tailgate, so that way you're there, people still, get to see you and your club and your sport and how you guys, your community and what you've built for yourselves, and, get the recognition that you guys deserve, and it helps student council get that tailgate up and running too, so we're excited for that one. And then this October, we decided to do a Halloween event, so just something fun to get, celebrate the holidays. So we're going to have, if you dress up, we're going to have door-to-door trick-or-treating, basically, just during lunch or advisory or sometime in the day. And then for the kids that don't dress up, or the kids that do, they wanted to do a little pumpkin treasure hunt. So you find a pumpkin, you bring it to the blocks or the office, and you get a little prize. So that'll be fun. And then, of course, our food drives. So we have our district-wide food drive, the canned food drive, I believe in November 15th. Not November, the 15th. And that we were just going to have, staff, students, parents, bring 3 cans to any sporting game of the week, and they bring those and they get them for free, and that's how we're going to get those cans for the district. And then we also like to throw on our own school volleyball food drive, which is just, bring 5 cans in, you're part of a team, and then if you want to come watch the game, bring some cans and you get to watch, and it's super fun. And it has fell through in previous years, but we plan on making it a good one this year. So, and then I believe 2 more. We want to work on celebrating the student bodies, ethnicities, and cultural backgrounds. Here at Meridian, we have a lot of exchange students. We have a lot of exchange students from Germany and Spain and all over, and I feel like they kind of get lost in the student body. But I think it's something we should celebrate because, they're here and we're sharing our culture with them. So I think it'd be really fun for them to share their culture with us and get them a lot more involved, because I know that a lot of them, they'll obviously, they'll go to the games or they'll go to the dances, but only if the person they're homing with or the person that, the people that they're friends with are going. And if that's not the case, it's just, we want to get them involved and get the real American high school experience. So just getting them more involved so that way they can feel just as included as we all are. And then finally, Red Ribbon Week, which is something I think we're very excited about at Meridian, because I think in high school it gets very overlooked quickly. Like Red Ribbon Week, it's very elementary, middle school. You don't really see it in high school as much, but I feel like if anything, high school is when it's really important to see, because I think that's when kids are more likely to fall into those habits. And obviously getting them educated about in elementary, that's just as important, but in high school when it's your real life and situations that people might be exposed to, I think it's really important to, reach out and let them know about it as you're in high school. This is what it will do to you. This isn't what you want to be involved in. Just, we're here for you. We have resources for you, Don't fall down that path. Yeah. And then last but not least, just our sports. We're having a great fall season, field, court, pools, greens, all of it. So it's really fun. We're seeing a lot of progress with our athletes, and I'm pretty sure they're all having a good time. So, yeah, that's all I had for you guys today. Thank you.
That's a great job. Isn't that fun to stand at that podium?
Yes, so fun.
It's kind of intimidating.
the
People don't
speaker.
get it. So you did a great job.
Thank
If you would come up, let's take a picture before you go.
Oh, we're gonna take a separate jellyfish photo.
All right, that takes us to patron input. I'll remind everybody that this portion of patron input in our meeting should be held to agendized items. It'll have a limit of 2 minutes and should be held to policy and procedure, not to any individual staff member, student, or otherwise, and that we would limit it to district patrons, teachers, students, and staff. With that, we do have one that has signed up, and it is Ms. Shelley Johnson. If you'd like to come up and state your name again, if you would, and to what agendized topic you'd like to speak.
Hit the button. Good evening, Chair Frazier and the board. I'm speaking on policy 203.2, which is the patron input portion that's outlined. I just wanted to express our appreciation for the consideration that the board has given and the input that we gave after the last meeting to include and make sure that our voices for our staff and for our students that may not live within the boundaries of the district are still able to be heard, and we appreciate the opportunity to continue sharing our voices.
Thank you so much. That'll conclude our patron input and move us to consent agenda. We are short one trustee. She is not feeling very well, so we will excuse her for this time. I'm open to a motion on consent agenda. Trustee Benetti.
I move that we accept the consent agenda unanimously.
Do I have a second? Trustee Buckman?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Angie, you can aye from there if you want to. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. With that, we will move to old business and invite up Mr. Marcus Myers to talk to us about the SIP.
All right, good evening, Madam Chair, Trustees, and Superintendent Dr. Bubb. I bring before you this evening the third reading of the West Ada SIP, or the Continuous Improvement Plan. In review, the SIP plan is about our measurable impact. It defines the metric by how we gauge the impact of our systems, structures, and common high-impact instructional practices across West Ada. These are ambitious growth targets where we strive toward proficiency for every single student, every single day. And that growth toward proficiency is the metric by which we measure and monitor closely impact and movement on our SIP plan. We monitor and measure this across all schools and across all departments because at the end of the day, the SIP plan is about our impact and what we do as a system in student achievement. And it's about our students' readiness for college and career. Our students deserve this, and they deserve those strong systems, and they deserve monitoring each and every single day where we set goals, celebrate, work toward those goals, and create plans for when goals are not met. The Continuous Improvement Plan, again, has been pre-approved by the State Board of Education without further revisions. This word came back less than a week or so ago. If approved by our trustees tonight, we will post this on our website before October 1, and there were no suggestions for revision between this and the previous reading of the SIP. With that, I'd stand for any questions that you may have and share my appreciation for you for being a part of our team of relentless educators, always chasing down student achievement and improvement. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you, sir. I'm open to a motion. Trustee Benetti.
I move that we approve the continuous improvement plan as submitted by Chief Academic Officer for Student Success, Marcus Myers.
Is there a second? Trustee Bachman.
Second.
Any conversation? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That takes us to policy 20302, which will be presented by Ms. Amy White.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Trustees, Dr. Bub. I am here tonight with our third reading of Policy 203.02 entitled Agenda Regular Meetings. You will notice that it is not identified on the agenda for tonight as an action item. That is because we have what initially started out as a pretty light touch of a policy amendment, and as each reading goes by, it gets deeper and deeper. So it is the policy committee's recommendation that we bring this back for a fourth reading, since there are a substantial number of changes between the second and third. You will note in front of you, we have a third color, maybe even a fourth, because there may be two different shades of green up there, but you will notice a light blue color, that is a number of significant changes. There are new changes. There are also a few changes that are in the green. So I'm going to run through the high end of these with you. As you will notice in the first sentence, the reference to agenda has been changed rules of order, and the mandatory may has been changed to a will. So it may include, or will generally include, but not be limited to, the list. And good of the order was what we initially started out with the amendment of this policy in relation to a change in Idaho Code during the last legislative session in 33508. Patron input is back in there in light blue, that patrons may offer input, either written or verbal, to the board, and it will become part of the public record. We then have governing procedure for patron input. That is very consistent with what was presented at the second reading. However, as our public input tonight referenced, there is a change in the first bullet, that input may be provided by patrons that reside within the district. That is the language of Idaho Code, but we felt it was appropriate in the committee to extend it to current staff members, enrolled students, or parents or guardians of enrolled students, because we do have staff members that reside outside of the district boundaries, and we do have open enrollment students. So that has been changed in bullet 1. In the last bullet in that same subsection, I know we've played with the language of 2 minutes, up to, at least, etc. It now reads up to 2 minutes, and then at the end has a new clause which allows for additional time to be granted at the chair's discretion. Hopefully that meets the intention of everything that has been discussed in our prior readings. As indicated thereafter in the edits, that any patron who does not meet or follow these standards will not be allowed to comment. There is then a patron requests section in light blue that clarifies that trustees will not respond to patron input comments directly, but may take action to address questions or issues following open session. And again, if they may be restricted from comment and have their participation stricken from the record if they do not follow the standards that the board has outlined. Governing procedure for adding new business items has essentially remained the same. Again, referencing that the board is unable to respond to public inquiries. But then in bullet number 1, we have again identified or current staff member, enrolled student, or parent or guardian of enrolled students for those who aren't able to participate, similar to the language that we did in the governing procedure for patron input. On the second page, there is less modification. If you go to the blue, actually it may be light green, I can't see it from here. Requests will be accepted for future consideration on the assent of 2 board members or the chair, and if accepted, added to new business at the earliest practical opportunity. That is when a patron being a resident, current staff member, enrolled student, or parent or guardian of an enrolled student asks for something to be added to a future agenda. Then in good of the order, that is what this policy was originally up for modification. That is addressing patron input on matters that are not subject matter of action item before the board, clarifying that trustees may participate in the good of the order, and then that last paragraph has been moved up further earlier in it. So it is still residing in the policy itself. As I indicated earlier, since there are so many changes, since we have expanded broadly beyond the original intent of just changing the policy to address the expanded public input changed by Idaho Code 33518 this past legislative session, it was the recommendation of the policy committee that this come back for a fourth reading. And with that, I will stand for any questions, any comments, changes, additions that you would like to this policy.
Vice Chair Zinna.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. White, I have a quick question. Where it says on here that the board is unable to respond to public inquiries in open session,
It is, go ahead.
are we restricted from that, or is that just our established process?
Generally speaking, the problem is, especially if we're dealing with a procedure for adding a new business item, it is if you're responding to a matter that somebody has brought up in general, it may not be properly agendized as a discussion item or an action item. So then it becomes a question of whether or not addressing it at that time and at that meeting is an open meeting violation as opposed to bringing it back for a future session.
Thank you for that. I almost wonder if we might want to play with that wording before we come back to a fourth reading. Just, I mean, I support that for sure, but we might want to just reword it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Other comments or questions? Trustee Benetti?
Yep, and, despite having looked at this 5 times, I missed something. Patron input, that first light blue portion on the first page, second paragraph, I guess. Patrons may offer input, either written or verbal, or that's actually not part of the, we're going to remove that
We're going to
portion. And specifically, the written is going away as part of this proposal. So, I'm glad we're bringing it back for a fourth, because we'll have to make a few more changes there. But minor, I think. And look, if we need to do a fifth reading, we'll do a fifth reading, that's fine. But I just wanted to point that out so that everybody has an opportunity to do that. And I just want to thank all the feedback that we got from our staff members and others who sort of pointed out that thing so that we could correct this policy and make it better. So thank you to all those who helped participate. We heard from a few people, which was great. So we'll make those changes in Policy Review Committee and bring it back for the next reading. Potential action.
Other comments or questions? I just appreciate how much work is going into this. I mean, really, the agenda is the crux of what we do. I mean, this is our forward-facing, our public-facing, information gathering meeting, if you will, for patrons and everyone. So I really do appreciate that we're going over and over and over it and making sure it's right before we vote on it, and then we can hopefully be done with it for a bit. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, this takes us to new business, Policy 4038, which will be presented by Ms. Renee Senander.
All right. Good evening, Chair Frazier, trustees, and Dr. Bubb. I have before you a first reading of Policy 403.80, Title IX, Non-Discrimination. The proposed update is a housekeeping revision following a recent reclassification of Director of Accountability and Support position. As part of this change, the policy designates the Chief Human Resource Officer, myself, as the district's Title IX coordinator. It is the Policy Committee's recommendation that the board take action to approve the updated contact information in Policy 403.80. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm open to a motion. Trustee Benetti.
I move that we approve Policy 403.80, Title IX, Non-Discrimination Policy, as presented by Chief Human Resources Officer Renee Senander.
Is there a second? Trustee Buckland?
Second.
Any discussion? Trustee Benetti?
No, sorry.
All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much. Policy 502.11, Mr. Marcus Myers, come on down.
All right, good evening, Madam Chair, Trustees, and Superintendent Dr. Bubb. Policy 502.11, Student Discipline, is presented to you this evening with minor revisions and a recommendation for action. The revisions grant authority to the Chief Academic Officer of Student Success to appoint administrators to act as a behavior hearing officer. These administrators will be appointed and fully trained. This revision expands our capacity to respond to behavior hearings when needed. Likewise, the revision holds true to the Policy Committee's work on aligning policy groups to our organizational chart. This is where safety behavior falls under student success, and this policy revision now works to that alignment. Thank you. I'd be happy to stand for any further questions you may have.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm open to a motion. Trustee Benetti.
I move that we approve policy 502.11, student discipline, as presented by Chief Academic Officer for Student Success, Marcus Myers.
Is there a second? Trustee Buckland?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That takes us to the presentation of the L2. Mr. Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Trustees, Dr. Bubb. This is the most exciting part of the evening. We're going to talk about the L2 form approval. First we're going to talk about the purpose of the form. We'll go through the school facilities funding update, just a quick update, and then finally the L2 form that I'm going to ask you to approve tonight. The L2 form is really the form that notifies Ada County and Canyon County the amounts that we're proposing to levy against property taxes for the current year. There's 6 different types of levies. There's a tort levy that's calculated by the county, supplemental levy, which we have a supplemental levy in place that in 2026 will be the last year that we can assess that. A plant facilities levy, which has 2 years left on it. We have a bond levy. This is for bond indebtedness, and we do have some bond indebtedness for about the next 8 years. And then a judgment levy. Judgment levies are for when taxpayers have protested their property tax in previous years and they win that protest, that money gets refunded to them and gets charged back to us. So it's money we had previously received, now we have to pay it back. This was a little bit bigger year than normal on the judgment levy because Idaho Power had a very large case that settled this year in almost all the counties in Idaho, and we had a pretty big judgment levy back. And then emergency levy is when we grow in students and we're not requesting anything for 2026. So for 2026, the amounts that we could levy before any adjustments are $668,701 for tort levy, $13,850,655 for supplemental levy, $16 million for our plant facilities levy. Our bond levy, we do not need to levy anything with that. We have enough cash in our bond fund. And then if you guys may or may not know that we had a refunding that we did of our bond fund 5 years ago that came to settle this year. And if you can remember, interest rates 5 years ago were a little bit different than interest rates currently. And we actually earned enough interest on that that we got money back. We did have to pay some arbitrage on that. Got money back, and that was enough money to cover our bond debt for this next year, so we don't need to levy anything. We have a small judgment levy, and then as I said, we have an emergency levy of 0. So to get to the good stuff, so in 2025, so last fiscal year, this current calendar year, the amount of approved levies we had on the books was $38,462,000. We had school facilities funding that reduced that by almost $20 million, and so we had a net levy of about $18.2 million. So for our taxpayers this year, they're going to experience $33.18 per $100,000 of taxable value. I'll come back to that in a second. For 2026, we have a total amount of approved levies of $30,700,000. That's going to be reduced by school facilities funding of $29,850,000. So we'll have a net levy of $857,450. This is an estimated number, but for $100,000 of taxable value, our taxpayers will pay school district levies of $1.47. So to put that in perspective, This last year, for a 500,000 taxable value house in West Ada, you're gonna pay West Ada about $165 in tax. Next year, for a $500,000 taxable value house, you're gonna pay about $7.35. Now, that's an estimate. I think the number will be slightly smaller than that. But that's a huge win for our taxpayers, along with the student achievement. It's a good, huge for the board and the good work you guys have been doing. It's pretty phenomenal.
Madam Chair, trustees, can I just ask a clarifying question? Are you saying $7 a month or $500,000 house? Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't follow everything you. $500,000 assessed value.
If your house has a taxable value of $500,000, your tax bill from West Ada will be $7.35, somewhere around there. This is estimated, $7.35.
Per year?
Per year.
For the year, yes, for a year. Yes. Okay. I want to give a little history, because this is phenomenal news. I mean, this is phenomenal for our taxpayers. You know, we thank the legislature for providing the school facilities fund that reduces this. I think this is the good work that West Ada has done, the board has done in financing our schools and handling our money. But from 2015 to 2025, you can see our levy rates were about, these are per thousand, not per 100,000 that I was just giving you. So in 2015, the tax to our taxpayers was $400 per 100,000. You know, and then as you can see, the last 5 years has dropped tremendously from $351 per thousand, which computes to $351 per 100,000, down to this 33 cents last year. So our property taxes have historically gone extremely low for our taxpayers. So the biggest reason for this, and we'll get to it on the next page on the L2, but it really comes from the property tax relief money that we got from the state in the form of school facilities funding. Sometimes you've heard us reference it as House Bill 292 from a couple years ago. We do have the final numbers. I talked in the budget about where we thought that number was going to be. So for 2023, we received about 15 million. 2024, we received about 20 million. And then 2025, just last week, we received 33.4 million. And that's what's getting used to offset what we could levy on our tax return. Those monies have to be used first to offset property tax levies. There's an order that it goes in. It has to go against bond indebtedness first, then supplemental levy, and then plant levy is the order that it goes in. So I can't even see that from here. Let me look on my piece of paper here. Help me see this. Okay, so what you see here, this is the actual L2 form. It's a snapshot of a larger page, but the top part of it, like I said before, is our tort levy that calculates out. This is really calculated by the county, that we have $668,000 that we can levy on the tort levy. You can see on the top line that we have about $8 million in bond payments that are going to be due this fiscal year, and then we have cash and other revenue to cover all of that. So we'll be levying no bond revenues. Our supplemental levy of $13.8 million will be offset. That column, the fourth column over, is the school district facilities funding. It'll offset that $13,850,000, so it's a zero. The plant facility is $16 million. It gets offset completely by the school facilities funding, so we'll levy zero. And then we have two judgment levies, one from Canyon County, one from Ada County. The Canyon County is $573, and Ada County is $188,176. So we'll be levying a total of $857,450. That is the L2 that we would submit to the state. And with that, I would stand for any questions or comments.
Wow. Any comments or questions? Or do we all just want to applaud? Feel like that's amazing. Trustee Benetti.
Yeah, wow. So if you go back to that other slide, would you mind going back to the, yes, thank you. So just to make sure that I have my basis points right, we have to do our rounding correctly. That will be 1 penny next year, is what you're saying, rounding down.
I'm projecting about $1.40, about, yeah.
So it'll be a penny per thousand.
1.47 pennies, yeah,
Yeah,
1.5
okay.
pennies.
And for the year, $7 and change.
Correct.
Do you happen to know how much a venti double macchiato costs at Starbucks?
Probably $5, I don't know.
$5, does anybody happen to know? Okay, so there are things that are more than our yearly property tax rate here. So, this is absolutely magnificent news, obviously. We thank the legislature for really taking the ownership of this to show how things can be done. But we just have to point out the obvious thing that there is a risk associated with that. And that risk is that people get accustomed and associated with the fact that this is you can operate like this all the time. And so we do have to keep in mind for the future that this is something that you cannot get less than zero. At some point, there may be a need, particularly if our growth continues, where this will have to go in the opposite direction. Let's just make sure that we mark this moment in time so that people remember, they're saying online right now still that taxes are too high. Yeah, for a penny per 1,000 is still too high, and that will always be the case. We understand that. But we have to make sure that the way that we maintain this moving forward is that we do everything possible to be the best public stewards that we can, with the knowledge and understanding that we may have to come back to the taxpayers in the future to fund our obligations to provide the best public education in the country. And that may require us having to have these things go in the opposite direction, because we can't get any lower. But hopefully we can keep it here, because the most important thing is that despite the fact that we've lowered our property taxes now by 99.94% over the past 10 years, we also have had our academics go in the other direction, which is the third year in a row that we've had the top scoring in ISAT, in reading, ELA, top scoring ISAT in mathematics, top scoring IRI scores ever, over 80%. And we're able to do that at the same time that our performance is going up, our taxes are going down, and at the same time having a new campus in Star to be able to Independence Elementary in Star that's going to be able to help relieve the overcrowding at Star, as well as the expansion of our CTE centers to more than double our ability to have our students be career ready. And all of this with our taxes going down. It can happen. It is happening. It's a testament to our teachers, to our administration, to the public, to our legislatures, and everybody to show that this is possible. It is possible to provide excellent, spectacular public education at an affordable rate and be the good public stewards of the fisc and deliver excellent results at a pittance, certainly compared to other districts across the country. And to have that stellar performance when our academics are going up and others' academics are going down, while others' taxes are going up and our taxes are going down. I'm just extremely proud to be part of the West Ada School District. I appreciate your efforts, and I can't wait for it to continue and do even better in the future. No question, just comment. Great job.
Amen. Any other comments? Vice Chair Zuna.
Mr. Roberts, this is great, so thanks for that. Do you have any idea what the future is for the House bill? What can we expect going forward on that?
Madam Chair, Trustee Azuna, so the Idaho Code, I think it's 33911, is in effect. There's about 5 pieces of that legislation that provide money for us, and it's shared statewide. The projection this last year I shared in the budget was about $246.5 million. I think it came in about $233 million. A large chunk of that is based on sales tax revenues and how they come in. We get a percentage of those sales tax revenues after some things are deducted. And then there's some, there was a little bit of carryover. Part of that number was about $6.9 million of carryover from the previous year that didn't get distributed. And then there's a $50 million number, and then another 20% of taxes. It's a complicated formula that makes about $50 million. I think it came in about $48 million. Don't totally quote me on that this year to be that total. So if the legislation stays in place, which I don't have reason to believe it will, and it is to be used, I think it is being used successfully around the state to reduce property taxes as it was intended. It's in place. the legislature does meet every year and they do make law changes. And I can't predict what those are gonna be, but I think this is a very valuable tool for us. I think it's a valuable tool for us in the future, for these monies, even as we see our debt decrease. We only have about 8 years of debt left in this entire district, with 62 buildings, 59 schools. We just have a very, very low debt, and when that goes away, this money is still here to continue to maintain and build facilities and things like that.
Any other comments or questions? Dr. Bub?
Madam Chair, trustees, just in response to that, I want to say a couple things. This legislation is in place. It would take an act of legislation to alter that, just in response to 292. A change in that legislation would increase taxes across our area. So we would be strong advocates to keep this legislation, to continue down this path. I think there's some additional opportunities out there. Again, I want to say, and I know Mr. Roberts has already said it, we are very thankful to our legislature who recognized this, who came up with this plan to be able to be fiscally responsible with our funding and be able to still maintain facilities that are at a good level. So thank you to our legislature, but we fully expect and we will be paying close attention, but we expect and hope that this legislation stays in place.
Any other comments? Thank you so much. I feel like all has been said, but yay, well done. How's that? All right, with that, I'm open to a motion. Trustee Benetti.
I move that we approve the District L2 form for submission to the State Board of Education as presented by Chief Finance Officer Dave Roberts.
Is there a second? Trustee Bachman?
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much. That takes us to good of the order. We did not have any patrons sign up this evening to speak to things that are unagendized. I'm still maintaining with what we just looked over with 203. And that opens it up for any other good of the order items. Trustee Bachman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. This is a bit of a hard moment for me because my heart is truly torn right now. I really love being involved in education, and serving on this board has been one of the greatest honors of my life. But at this time, it is in the best interest of me and my family to step down as a member of the West Ada School Board. My father has been in and out of the hospital recently, and I want the freedom to be able to spend more time with him. More than anything, though, I would like to emphasize gratitude. I am very grateful for the school board, the West Ada executive team, and Dr. Bubb, who has been an incredible person to work with. There are moments I've been privileged to experience. That very few people ever will. I got to give 2 of my children their high school diplomas. I work alongside amazing colleagues. I won an election. How many people could say that? And having the opportunity to be part of such meaningful work, these are for sure blessings that I will always carry with me. I want to take a moment really quick to thank each of my fellow board members for what they have meant to me. Trustee Redford, thank you for being such a good friend and for always staying grounded in your approach to educational matters. Trustee Benetti, your expertise in finance and level of intellect is something that I could only hope to achieve. Vice Chair Ozuna, thank you for your experience and for your willingness to step in and help me whenever I needed it. Chair Frazier, thank you for your friendship and for being such a strong leader for our district. And Dr. Bubb, you've really inspired me in ways that you will probably never know. You are one of the best leaders I've ever had the privilege to work with in any capacity. It is very deeply reassuring for me to know that as long as you are the superintendent of West Ada, this district is in very good hands. And finally, I want to thank my family. They have endured fatherless days and nights so that I could serve this district. And they have been and always will be my greatest supporters. Thank you to each of you for this opportunity, chance to serve. Also, on a last note, please excuse any grammatical errors as this speech was created with the help of ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can make mistakes. So, thank you. Well,
I want to speak for just a moment. this is such a unique opportunity to get to serve on the board. The experiences you have with your fellow board members, with other individuals that are volunteering thousands of hours a year of their time to help our community is a special thing, and that's not to take away or disregard the work that is done by our staff or anyone else, but it is a unique opportunity. And I think, to quote, there's a time and a season for service. And I so respect the effort and the time that Trustee Bachleon has given to the district, and I recognize that service now needs to be given at home. And it's important that we all recognize that. So thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure to work with you, and our friendship will definitely continue. Are there any other comments? Dr. Bubb.
Madam Chair, I would just say, in recognition of your service, Trustee Bachleon, thank you so much for everything that you have done for West Ada. It's in typical fashion that you would thank everybody else, but I'll take the moment to say thank you to you. It oftentimes goes unnoticed or unrecognized, the amount of work that every one of our board members puts in, the sacrifice away from family, the sacrifice away from loved ones does not go unnoticed. We joke often that the pay is not high enough yet for you guys. It's zero for anybody listening. And so I just want to say thank you. It's a huge sacrifice. It's a huge sacrifice to your community. You've represented your community well, and we just appreciate everything you've done. On behalf of West Ada, thank you.
Trustee Redford.
Yeah, I just want to thank Lucas for his service and his friendship. You have such a calming demeanor about you. And I really appreciated bonding over our shared weird phobias in Dallas. That was fun. But I appreciate your service and sacrifice, and I wish nothing but the best for you and your family, and good health and success, and you will be missed.
All right. Trustee Benetti.
Thank you for everything, and forever and always, Trustee Bachleon, first in seconds.
Vice Chair Zuna.
I don't do goodbyes well, so I'm gonna just keep this short, but I am gonna deeply miss you, and I'm gonna miss the humor that you bring to our group, the care and compassion, the different insight that you bring that the rest of us don't have. You've been a great addition, and we're gonna miss you. So, good luck to your dad.
With that, we will move to any future agenda items. And I'm open to a motion to adjourn. Trustee Redford.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Bachleon. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. We will adjourn at 7:12 p.m.